Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know what really is the left's biggest weakness? It's just the pettiness, and they really can't seem to control it. They're just so goddamned petty. They can't just take the L and move on. They can't accept reality. They can't accept the message that voters are telling them. They've thrown absolutely everything at President Trump at this point, and none of it has worked. In fact, it's done the opposite. They've lost so much power over the last couple of years, and instead of growing up, instead of waking up, they're doubling down and resorting to the same meaningless grandstanding and embarrassing takes. It's pure cope and pettiness. And I think pretty much most people read it as such. In interpersonal relationships, what we would describe as having a bad attitude or a bad character trait, well, that sort of thing just seems to apply to the left as a whole. They're just such petty, vindictive, sore losers. And boy, do I have the examples to really drive that point home for you today. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on as we continue to analyze the woke left hive mind. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright, so for this first clip, we're going international, because as we know, Trump derangement syndrome is not just a domestic problem, it's really a worldwide pandemic. First, we've got this clip of Radoslaw Sikorski. I believe I'm pronouncing that probably close enough. Your typical globalist, self-righteous, warhawk politician from Poland. Well, speaking of Trump deranged, just take a look at this. It should speak for itself.
What would you say to Donald Trump, Mr. Sikorski?
I would tell him three things. Number one, Joe Biden was your successor and predecessor, but he planted the flag of the United States in downtown Kiev and declared on behalf of the United States that the US will be with Ukraine for as long as it takes until Ukraine secures its independence. The credibility of the United States depends on how this war ends, not just the Trump administration, the United States itself. I would secondly tell him that if you allow Putin to vassalize Ukraine, that'll send a message to China that you can recover what you regard as a renegade province. And that would have direct consequences for US grand strategy, for the US system of alliances, and possibly for the future of Taiwan. And I would thirdly tell him, we Europeans control the Nobel Peace Prize. If you want to earn it, the peace has to be fair.
Yeah, this guy is totally deranged, Trump deranged. And it really shows just how far these people are willing to go with their pettiness. He would rather drag out this war indefinitely than allow any kind of peace deal that doesn't completely humiliate Russia. I guess it's never really been about protecting Ukraine or defending democracy. No, it's probably more about using Ukraine as a pawn in a proxy war against Russia. I don't think peace was ever the goal. Or maybe they want an end to this thing. Maybe the goal is not endless war, although, I doubt it. But maybe from this clown's perspective, he wants to see an end to the war. He just doesn't want Donald Trump to get the recognition. Totally petty and Trump deranged, like I was saying. And let's talk about this Nobel Peace Prize thing. We all remember back in 2008 when Barack Obama won his first term, they handed him a Nobel Peace Prize for literally nothing. And that, of course, proved to be a serious mistake, considering Barack Obama was the guy who expanded drone strikes, destabilized entire regions, armed terrorist groups and cartels, and started multiple new wars. But Trump now, who's actually trying to end wars, somehow he doesn't qualify? Make it make sense. The only explanation that I could come up with is total Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, as if it wasn't bad enough, it wasn't telling enough when they refused to hand Donald Trump a Nobel Peace Prize during his first term in office, after brokering historic peace deals in the Middle East. As if that wasn't enough to display their corruption, now I guess they're taking it to a whole other level. And the argument here is just pathetic. This Sikorski fella is making the claim that because Biden promised America would support Ukraine, Trump is now somehow obligated to continue the same policy? I mean, excuse me? Since when does a president have to blindly obey the terrible decisions of his predecessor? That's literally not how democracy works, especially not considering Biden's record low approval on so many issues, including this one. It's yet again another example, the ultimate embodiment of your typical out-of-touch, war-hungry globalist elite. The kind of shameless interventionist who never has to fight, never has to suffer, never has to answer for the consequences of the policies that they push, but is always there to lecture and finger wag and look down. This guy's job is to sit in a suit and act smart and manufacture excuses for endless wars. And somehow he's lecturing us on why Donald Trump wouldn't be deserving for a Nobel Peace Prize, even if he ended up brokering or bringing an end to this horrifying war that's gone on for far too long. I mean, the callous nature of these people, hundreds of thousands of young men and women, not to mention the innocent civilian casualties caught in the crossfire, have lost their life. Absolute insane pettiness, insane Trump derangement syndrome. But like I said, I got a couple examples for you, so that was example number 1. Next up, we have MSNBC, the dumbest news network on TV, and that's saying a lot. Pushing the idea that we should now cancel President's Day. Yeah, I wonder why that is.
Presidential historian says President's Day is ridiculous. We should scrap it? What do you mean?
It is a little bit silly. I mean, we have had some real duds, so I'm not sure we really want to be celebrating all presidents. And the tradition actually comes from celebrating birthdays, which is a celebration that we inherited from celebrating the king. And I'm just not sure that that's exactly what we want. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that we necessarily want to celebrate the people. I think that we want to have a certain respect for the office. I totally get that. And some have done extraordinary things, but by celebrating all of them, I do think it causes us to think of the president as somehow other, when in reality they are a citizen just like everyone else. I think if we think of a president as someone to celebrate just because they exist, which is what the king was, and that's why they celebrated the king's birthday, then it does evolve into that argument that they can do no wrong.
Isn't it funny how this conversation all of a sudden pops up the moment Donald Trump's in his second term? And of course on MSNBC, no less. Oh, well, all of a sudden now, we probably shouldn't be doing President's Day because some presidents, and I'm not naming which ones, no, that you'll just have to interpret yourself, audience, but some of them are just not deserving. And then she goes on, claiming that celebrating President's Day is somehow celebrating the king, and that could lead to the argument that they can do anything. I mean, it's obvious what she's implying, right? That whenever they make this connection about the president believing they could do anything, believing they are king and above the law, they're always talking about Donald Trump. Absolutely frickin' insane. I mean, imagine Republicans suggesting to cancel President's Day just because they didn't like Joe Biden. They would lose their collective mind. But for the leftoids, for the petty Trump deranged leftoids, it's just another day on MSNBC in Donald Trump's scary fascist hellscape America. These people are so broken, so fragile, that they literally want to now erase history because their feelings are hurt because they lost an election. I mean, imagine putting on a suit, getting on national television, and actually saying this garbage with a straight face. I know it's MSNBC, so the bar is real low, but come on. They are so petty, and yet they act so intellectual and so above us all. And it's almost as if they're convinced that they're making actual good points, or that they've developed some sort of propaganda seed that they've now planted and will blossom into an incredible leftist narrative that will bring everybody to their side, that will enlighten and awaken the masses onto the democratic fascist threat that is the evil orange man. It's absolutely pathetic, and honestly, when I turn on MSNBC and I see stuff like this, I see no difference from this left-wing activism on TV to what we're seeing with these protesters right now in DC on President's Day during the Not My President rally.
No Trump! No KKK! No fascist USA! Let's go! This is what democracy looks like. Home speak! Home speak! Home capital! Fire Trump!
It's the same thing. They're saying the exact same thing. Trump is not our president. Hashtag resistance. Well, he is your president. And really, I just got one message for all you petty blue anon shills out there and all you globalist, warmongering, Trump deranged elitists.
Stop it. Get some help.
Stop it. Get some help. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.